He lies face down on the Kazan turf, the yellow shirt soaked through, shoulders shaking. Around him, Belgian players celebrate. One Brazilian columnist would later write that this was the night a nation finally admitted the truth. That the boy they crowned at 17 was never going to be Pelé. So how did the most gifted footballer of his generation end up here, alone on the grass? Part 1. The Boy from Mogi. Neymar da Silva Santos Jr. was born on the 5th of February 1992 in Mogi das Cruzes, a working-class city on the eastern edge of São Paulo. His father, Neymar Sr., had been a journeyman footballer himself, a modest career cut short by injury. What the father couldn't finish, he poured into the son. From the moment little Juninho could walk, a ball was at his feet. The family lived hand to mouth. At one point, after a car accident, all four of them shared a single room in a relative's house. But on a futsal court, the boy was already something else. Smaller than the other kids, faster, braver. The kind of player coaches whispered about 3 neighborhoods away. At 11, he was brought to Santos, the club of Pelé, the most sacred address in Brazilian football. The scouts didn't hesitate. Real Madrid tried to sign him at 14, offering a deal that would have changed his family's life overnight. Santos matched what they could and convinced his father to stay. The boy, they argued, belonged in Brazil. The boy belonged in white and black. March 2009. He is 17 years old. Neymar makes his professional debut for Santos, the boyhood club, and within weeks the whole country knows his name. He arrives with a wild mohawk, a smile too big for his face, and a left foot that seems to bend physics. The tricks are outrageous. Sombreros, rabonas, elasticos. But they aren't decoration, they produce goals. Lots of them. 42 goals in 2010 alone. He is 18. Brazilian television builds entire highlight shows around him. Pelé, watching from the director's box, calls him the most talented young player he has seen since himself. It is meant as a blessing. It will end up being a curse. Part 2. The Heir. 2011. Santos reached the final of the Copa Libertadores, South America's Champions League, for the first time in nearly half a century. Against Peñarol of Uruguay, Neymar scores in the second leg. Santos lift the cup. He is 19 years old, and he has just delivered the trophy that links him forever to Pelé's 1962 side. That same year, against Flamengo, he scores a goal so absurd, a slalom from the left wing, defenders falling around him, that FIFA hands him the Puskás Award for the most beautiful goal in the world. He stands on the Zurich stage in a black tuxedo, hair bleached blonde, grinning beside Lionel Messi. 2 players, 12 years apart. The press already framing it as a passing of the torch. By 2012, he is the most coveted teenager on the planet. Chelsea want him. Real Madrid never stopped wanting him. Barcelona begin a long, quiet courtship. In the summer of 2013, Neymar leads Brazil to the Confederations Cup, dismantling world champions Spain in the final. He is named player of the tournament. The Maracanã sings his name. And then he leaves. A few weeks later, he signs for Barcelona. Part 3. Barcelona. The transfer is mired in controversy from day one. The fee is officially announced at €57 million. The real number, hidden in side payments to Neymar's family, his father's company, and assorted intermediaries, is closer to 90. The scandal will eventually force the resignation of Barcelona's president, drag the club through the Spanish courts, and leave a permanent asterisk beside the deal. But on the pitch, it works. In the summer of 2014, Luis Suarez arrives. And just like that, a front three is born that history will simply call MSN. 122 goals between them in a single season. A number that may never be matched. June 2015, Berlin. The Champions League final against Juventus. Neymar scores the third in injury time. Barcelona win the treble. He is 23. He has won everything. And next to Messi, he looks not like an apprentice, but like an equal. But between those Barcelona glories, something else is happening. Something that will define his life. The 2014 World Cup. On home soil. Part 4. The fracture. An entire nation, 100 million people, places its hopes on a single 22-year-old. The shirt, the number 10, the weight of Pelé, all of it lands on Neymar's narrow shoulders. He delivers. 2 goals against Croatia in the opener, a penalty against Chile in the round of 16. Brazil are not playing well, but Neymar is dragging them forward. And then, in the quarter-final against Colombia, defender Juan Zúñiga drives a knee into his back. Neymar collapses. A fractured vertebra. The World Cup, for him, is over. He is carried off in tears. From a hospital bed, he records a message to the country. "Be strong," he says. "We can still do this." Without him, in Belo Horizonte, Brazil collapse. Germany score 7. The hosts score 1. It is the most catastrophic night in Brazilian football history. And though it isn't his fault, though no one player could have stopped that landslide, a quiet, terrible idea begins to take root. That Brazil, without Neymar, is nothing. That Neymar, with Brazil, must be everything. Part 5. 222. By 2017, the question around Neymar has shifted. He has won everything at Barcelona. He has scored, assisted, danced. But the Ballon d'Or, the individual prize that obsesses him, the one his father has always told him he was born for, keeps going to the man beside him. As long as he stands in Messi's shadow, no jury will ever crown him. And so, that summer, he makes a decision that splits world football in two. Paris Saint-Germain triggers his release clause. The number is 222 million euros. 222 million euros. More than double the previous world record. A sum that breaks the transfer market and never fully unbreaks it. He is unveiled at the Parc des Princes in a black and red shirt, a Qatari project's most expensive signature. He is 25 years old. He is the most expensive footballer who has ever lived. And he is about to chase the only thing he doesn't have. The first season starts like a dream. He scores on debut. He scores in his first match at the Parc. By February, PSG sit top of Ligue 1, and Neymar is the league's most dangerous player. And then, a metatarsal. A fractured 5th metatarsal in his right foot. He flies home to Brazil for treatment. He misses the Champions League knockout. PSG go out. It will become a pattern. Every February, every March, the months when the Champions League is decided, something seems to give way. Foot, ankle, adductor, metatarsal again. Across his 6 seasons in Paris, he will miss more than 300 matches, more than 1,000 days lost to the treatment table. Part 6. Kazan. And so we come back to where we started, Russia, 2018. Neymar arrives carrying a foot still mending and a country still mourning the 7 goals of 2014. The football is patchy. The theatrics, the rolling, the writhing, the long, slow tumbles down the touchline become a global meme. Talk shows mock him. Memes flood the internet. The reputation, once built on joy, calcifies into something colder. In the quarter-final, Belgium are smarter, sharper, hungrier. They score twice. Brazil pull one back. And at the final whistle, Neymar sinks to the grass. Face down, shoulders shaking. The boy who was supposed to be Pelé in the dirt, watching another nation walk past him toward the semi-final. A columnist for Folha de São Paulo writes the next morning that something in the contract between Neymar and Brazil has quietly broken. The love, he says, has turned conditional. Part 7. The final that wasn't. 2020. A pandemic empties the stadiums. The Champions League is compressed into a single-leg tournament in Lisbon. And finally, PSG break through. Against Atalanta, he sets up the winner deep into stoppage time. Against Leipzig, he runs the semi-final. PSG reach their first ever Champions League final. In the final, against Bayern Munich, Neymar misses 2 clear chances. Kingsley Coman, a boy from the PSG academy, scores the only goal. Bayern lift the trophy. Neymar walks past the cup, eyes red. It is the closest he will ever come. He just doesn't know it yet. Part 8. What it costs. By now, the off-field stories are louder than the on-field ones. Birthday parties in Paris during international breaks. A long, ugly tax dispute in Spain. Allegations, later dropped, of assault against a woman in a Paris hotel, denied by him, never charged. Inside PSG, the dressing room fractures. Reports emerge of tension with Kylian Mbappé, the young Frenchman now being marketed as the club's new face. The Qatari project that built itself around Neymar quietly starts building itself around someone else. The Parc des Princes, the stadium that once chanted his name, begins to whistle him. Banners appear outside the gates, calling for him to leave. Qatar, 2022. A 3rd World Cup. He scores a brilliant goal against Croatia in extra time of the quarter-final, and for a moment it feels written. And then Croatia equalise. The shootout swallows Brazil. Neymar, set to take the 5th penalty, never gets the chance to kick it. He sits on the pitch and weeps again. A child, in his arms, tries to comfort him. The image goes around the world. Part 9. Passing Pelé. September 2023. World Cup qualifying. Brazil play Bolivia in Belém. Neymar scores twice. The 2nd goal takes him past Pelé as Brazil's all-time leading scorer. 79 international goals. A number once thought untouchable. Now his. He is handed a banner with Pelé's face on it. He kisses it. And in Brazil, the response is complicated. Pride, yes, but also a quiet asterisk. Pelé won 3 World Cups. Neymar has won none. A few weeks earlier, he had signed for Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia, a contract reportedly worth more than €300 million across 2 seasons. A move many read as the closing of a door, the quiet end of the Ballon d'Or dream. And then, in October 2023, on international duty against Uruguay, his left knee buckles under no contact at all. A ruptured ACL, a torn meniscus. He is carried off in tears. Again. 7. 7 appearances. That is all Al Hilal will get for their 300 million. He spends most of 2024 in rehabilitation. He returns briefly, breaks down again. By the end of the contract, both sides quietly accept that the experiment has failed. Part 10. Home, 2025. He goes home. Santos, the boyhood club, is no longer the giant he left in 2013. They have been relegated for the first time in their history, clawed their way back up, and they are fragile, broke, and afraid. He signs a short-term deal. The salary is a fraction of what it once was. The fans line the streets from the airport to Villa Belmiro. Children hold up phones. Grown men cry. He says, simply, that he has come back to find himself. To play, again, in the place where he was once the happiest. There is no talk of Europe. No talk of Ballon d'Or. The reality is harder than the homecoming. His body keeps betraying him. Muscle problems. More time on the bench than on the pitch. Santos themselves spend the season in a relegation fight he was supposed to save them from. But sometimes, for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, the old footwork still flickers. A nutmeg. A pass nobody else would see. A reminder of who this was, before the world record, before the injuries, before the weight. Legacy. So how do we tell this story? How do we file Neymar away? Because there is a version of his career that is, by any reasonable measure, extraordinary. A Champions League, La Liga titles, a Copa Libertadores, a Confederations Cup, an Olympic gold medal at the Maracanã in 2016, scored, fittingly, by his own foot from the penalty spot. The all-time top scorer for the most decorated national team in football history. A dribbler of singular imagination, a passer of rare vision, a left foot that, on its best days, could open any defence on earth. And yet the story we tell, the story Brazil tells, is one of subtraction. Of what he didn't win. Of the World Cup that never came. Of the Ballon d'Or that was always somebody else's. Some of that is fair. He chose Paris over Madrid. He chose marketing over monasticism. The carnival, sometimes, over the discipline. He made himself, in the eyes of many, an easy man to mock. But some of it is simply the cruelty of a body that wouldn't hold.
Across 15 professional seasons, he played, on average, barely half of his team's games. You can't win a Ballon d'Or from the treatment room. You can't carry a country on a fractured vertebra. A Brazilian writer once put it this way. He said, "We asked Neymar to be Pelé. We never asked whether being Neymar was enough." He is, in the end, a man, a father, a son. A footballer who carried, for 15 years, an inheritance no human being could have fulfilled. He is back at Santos now. The mohawk is gone, the body is older, the headlines, for once, are quiet. And maybe that is the ending he needed all along. Not glorious, not crowned, but home. Because somewhere in the small Brazilian boy who first kicked a ball across a Mogi das Cruzes living room, there was always just this. A kid who loved the game. Before the world asked him to be a god. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Beyond the Boots for more. The boots tell the story. We just follow the footsteps.